Marshall Rudolph. I'm the president of the Bishop Sunrise Rotary Club, which is sponsoring this candidate event. Thank you all for coming. Bishop Sunrise Rotary is pleased to sponsor this and other candidate forums as a form of community service promoting voter education. Rotary is not a political organization and takes no sides in any political campaigns or contests. We've made every effort to create a fair and impartial forum where you can hear directly from the candidates regarding relevant issues. Before we get started, allow me to briefly explain that Rotary is a service organization with 1.4 million members in over 46,000 clubs worldwide. Rotarians work to promote peace, fight disease, including eradicating polio, provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, saving mothers and children, promoting education, growing local economies, protecting the environment, and disaster relief. Bishop Sunrise Rotary provides service to our local community through events like this and Earth Day and Santa Mile by helping out with the United Methodist Church Soup Kitchen and sponsoring various youth programs, including the Rotary Youth Exchange students, and providing scholarships to local high school students. We also support other local nonprofit organizations such as Wild Iris, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Laws Railroad Museum and Historic Site, and the Akamaya Dance Studio. And we provide service internationally, primarily through a grant-funded project that for several years has provided much-needed medical supplies, equipment, and professional training to struggling medical clinics in Chiapas, Mexico, which is a very remote rural area of Mexico. If you'd like to learn more about our club, or perhaps even help us out by donating online, please visit our website, bishopsunriserotary.org. Now, on with the forum. Let me turn things over to our moderator, Christina Bloom-Justice.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bishop Unified School District Forum. I don't have kids in school right now, but that 10-month-old down there could probably beat me at math. Actually, he definitely could. But we're excited to be here this evening, and very much, I just want to thank our candidates for being here. We are very grateful to have all 9 candidates with us this evening. Also, we'd like to thank the Sunrise Rotary for hosting this. The Bishop community is so fortunate in that we have such amazing service organizations, and the Sunrise Rotary is definitely just really does phenomenal work, not only throughout the world, but right here in our own community. And I'd like to also thank everyone for turning out tonight. It's incredible to see you all, and we're looking forward to some good discussion this evening. Before we begin, I'm going to explain briefly how this forum works. Each of the candidates has been sent 2 questions, so they have had time to prepare answers to those questions. So we'll give each of them an opportunity to introduce themselves for 2 minutes, and then they will go down the line, and everyone will have a chance to answer those predetermined questions, which I will read when that time comes. Then we will take a 15-minute break, and we will get to enjoy some of the delicious treats in the back. During that break, if you would like to pose a question to the candidates, and your question will be answered by all of them if you submit a question. Jeff, do we have the box in the back? Box back there somewhere? We have a box. Jeff has a box back there in the back. You can write down a question and put it in the box until 5 minutes after that cookie break starts. I would like to ask that you please write it in print and as clearly as possible because your moderator struggles sometimes. And then we're going to go over a couple of rules. So with those audience asked questions, we'll have a time limit. And we will fit in as many questions as we can before 8:30. Please put your cell phones on silence, and I better put mine on silence too. If you have to take a if you have to take a phone call, please step outside to do so. And we'd like to ask the audience to please be respectful of the candidates, and candidates to be respectful to one another. Please do not directly attack or insult each other, and please respect the time limit. We have a gentleman up here who is going to hold up a sign for 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then when time is up, and you may finish your sentence, and then we will conclude that candidate and move on to the next. The audience, let's see. All of our Rotarians will organize and select the questions that are going to be asked after the break. There will probably not be enough time to answer all of the questions, so we will kind of group the questions together according to topic and surmise them together if we have to. All right. And with that out of the way, I would like to introduce your candidates. So first of all, in the introduction, these candidates are running for positions on the Bishop Unified School District Board. They will share with us their qualifications, what their personal experience is, and why they're running for this office. And we would like to begin this evening with Miss Gail Wallace.
Thank you. I am Gail Sue Wallace. Some of you know me as Sue. There we go. That's better. I'm running for the BUSD School Board because I'm genuinely concerned about the loss of learning caused by the COVID-19 shutdown. I have some ideas about how to bridge the gap and put our students back on track to be prepared for life after graduation, whether it's college, trade school, or entering the workforce. Teaching to all three modalities, visual, oral, and kinesthetic, is vital to reach all students in the classroom. Use of manipulatives for math, bringing back corrective reading, spelling workbooks, and grammar workbooks are some of the ideas I have for assisting our students in returning to grade level. I taught special education for 30 years, and I have attended many school board meetings in Bishop and in Central Unified School District in Fresno, where I taught for the last 10 years of my career. I was the workability director at BUHS, and it's a federally funded program to assist local businesses in hiring students with disabilities. It gives those students job experience, and many students remain employed with the businesses. I taught at Home Street and Bishop High School and trained other special educators in Inyo and Mono counties on the TEACH program developed by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, to work with students with autism. I've helped raise 3 wonderful stepchildren, and my stepson is a 1994 graduate of BUHS.
Thank you, Gail. Earl, or this is Earl Lent.
In here. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Earl Lent III, and I'm honored to be running for the BUSD Board of Trustees. The role that I see as a school board member is to serve as a voice of the community and help children and families feel that their concerns are being heard and addressed at a board level. I would like to be transparent and informative when it comes to addressing the community about issues concerning their children's education. I would hold myself and others accountable and would put an emphasis on creating a cohesive work environment that is solution-based. I'm a Bishop High graduate, class of 1999, and my education includes several associate degrees from Saracoso College in behavioral health science, liberal arts and humanities, early childhood education, psychology, and also an associate's degree in drafting and design from Santa Barbara City College. My educational journey has led me to many other certificates and accolades. Currently, I'm enrolled in a concurrent bachelor's and master's program at Southern New Hampshire University and consider myself a lifelong learner. For the last 10 years, I have been the youth prevention supervisor at Toyabe Indian Health Project. My career allows me to empower youth by listening to their concerns, identifying community health risks, and being accessible to those who need support. I'm active in developing evidence-based prevention resources which affect youth, specifically providing education related to substance use trends and mental health concerns. My career is grounded in utilizing a multidisciplinary team-based approach. I sit on the Bishop Tribal Wellness Committee and lead the local Tribal Opioid Response Coalition. This has provided me the opportunity to work with many local agencies and community members. More importantly, the coalition serves as a vital role in advocacy for our community.
Thank you, Earl. Next, we have Claudia Tanner.
Hello, I am Claudia Moya Tanner, and I am running for school board. Why am I running for school board? Because I care and I see a lot of potential, just like everyone here. I care about the education and the future of our the kids in our community. I believe that education is the most important asset we own. This asset cannot be diminished. It doesn't go away. It only grows, and we can build upon it. A solid educational foundation is a wealth that cannot be destroyed. Public schools should provide a foundation for learning, creative thinking, and discovery. And in order to achieve this, every single student must feel safe and that they belong in that school. Where do I see potential? Everywhere. I see a lot, I know there's a lot of great hardworking teachers and administrators and staff members in our district. And I know there's a lot of very passionate and genuinely caring community members and parents that want the absolute best for our kids. What are my qualifications? I am open to listen to everyone. I believe that there's always room for improvement, and we should not settle for just good enough. I attended most of my school in public education, all the way from kindergarten through my PhD. And I am confident that when one has a solid educational foundation and the appropriate tools, the likelihood of setting and achieving goals is much greater. As an employer and former university lecturer, I have witnessed firsthand the possibilities of growth and success are much greater when an individual has been equipped with necessary tools to take advantage of opportunities. My personal experience with the district, I am a parent of a student in the district, and I have proudly served as a school board member for the last 4 years.
Thank you, Claudia. Next, we have Jamie Morley.
Hi, my name is Jamie Morley. I'm a third generation Bishop born and fifth generation Californian. Bishop is my home and I love it. I'm a road maintenance supervisor for Mono County. I also am a combat veteran Marine. I'm happily married to my beautiful wife, Nicole, and the proud father of 2 daughters, Skylar and Reese, who both attend Bishop Elementary School. I'm running because I want to be a strong voice for the children and their parents, who I feel have been grossly underrepresented in the past few years. The time has come for change, and instead of sitting back and hoping for change, I decided to do something about it. My time in the service taught me the building blocks for leadership, teamwork, and I have used that in and out of the military. I spent 16 years as a heavy equipment operator, shoring up my skills to be ready for a leadership position. I also joined the union negotiating team and negotiated one of the best contracts we've had in a couple of decades. So I've got experience in public speaking. I was recently promoted to supervisor, and that's where I currently am. I'm a proud BUHS graduate from class of 99. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor down at the local gym. I'm a volunteer hockey referee for Sierra Roller Hockey. And I'm a 4-H dad and an AYSO dad. Our community is a special one. I would do anything to repay this community for what it has given me. I love Inyo County, and I'm proud to give back to a place that's given me so much. I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is I'm not a politician. I've never ran for office, but the good news is I'm not a politician, and I've never ran for office. The polarizing political climate in the country has divided us, and it's time to start building relationships again and work together to become the district the kids deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Next, we have Jim Lyles.
My name is Jim Lyles. After graduating from Whitworth University, I went to Princeton Theological Seminary for 1 year. I was then hired as a social worker at Trenton State Hospital, where I learned about mental attitudes that lead to happiness and those that lead to heartbreak. I have a master's degree from Rutgers Graduate School of Social Work and 15 years experience doing marriage and family counseling. I also worked as a residential school for boys brought in by Los Angeles Children's Services or probation resulting from criminal gang involvement or abuse. My introduction to BUSD came last August outside the BAC, where over 200 parents gathered opposing mask mandates, already approved by BUSD. The county superintendent of schools began stating that BUSD members had no choice but to vote in favor of the mandates. Parents voiced their frustration about the obvious lack of current board leadership. School board members did not seem to have the time or interest in discussing parental concerns. The parents' voices had already been silenced before they said a word. I am running for BUSB for 4 main reasons. 1, give parents a voice in school. Related to appropriate sex education, grade level math and reading. To have teachers notify parents if a student expresses any form of gender dysphoria, threatens suicide, or is depressed. 3, expose the lie of critical race theory. And 4, expose the legal sexual mutilation of children by calling it gender-affirming medical care, a lie promoted by the California State Department of Education.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Tony Huff.
Good evening, everybody. Manahu Inadiane Tony Huff. I'm a Bishop Paiute tribal member, and I was born and raised here in beautiful Bishop, California. First and foremost, I'm running for the school board because I have a investment as a mother to 3 beautiful boys that attend. I also had a son who graduated BUHS this June of 22, and I'm also a BUHS graduate. So I inadvertently have a lot of experience with BUSD, but as a mother and as a student. I have 3 associate's degrees, 1 in human services, 1 in liberal arts, social and sciences, and also an associate's on my bachelor's degree with in psychology with an emphasis on addictions. I'm also a registered alcoholic through the California Consortium of Addiction Programs and Professionals. I am the director of the response grant at Toyabe, and I've also sat on the Indian Head Start Parent Policy Committee. I strongly believe that I can be a strong voice and advocate for our communities and for all of our students. I look forward to serving the community, and I also serve and work in the community as a medication assisted treatment coordinator at Toyabe Project. I'm running because I feel passionate about education for all of our children. I think that there are several areas of where we can grow and support one another, especially supporting our teachers and our staff.
Thank you, Tony. Next, we have Virginia Figueroa.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Virginia Figueroa. Good evening, my name is Virginia Figueroa. I am a candidate for a Bishop Unified School District School Board. It's been an honor to serve the school district as a board and education trustee for the last 4 years. I have been a Bishop resident for 35 years, and I'm a preschool teacher with 24 years of teaching in the classroom. 28 years. I'm currently working for the Bishop Indian Head Start for Paiute Tribe. I have 1 child who attended school from kindergarten to 12th grade at Bishop School. Working with young children, I can see that our district is a district where our students can grow and have a safe learning environment. Our teachers not only provide quality education, but also they provide security and a sense of belonging to our students. That is why I'm passionate with education, and I would like to see if I can serve for another 4 years, another term, as a school board member. During those 28 years, I had nearly 560 students who have attended to the Bishop Unified School District, and I'm very happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Next, we have Ambrosia Stone.
Hello, my name is Ambrosia Stone, Manahu, family and friends. First, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be here this evening, and also extend my gratitude that I'm able to be here and share with you my motivation in running for the Bishop Unified School District School Board and my qualifications. First and foremost, I'm a mother of 5 with 4 of those children in the Bishop Unified School District. And I'm also a graduate I attended Bishop Union High School, and then I ended up graduating from the Big Pine High School where I was born and raised. I would like to share that I served 8 honorable years in the U.S. Navy. While enlisted, I earned my bachelor's degree in social science, and then having returned home, earning my master's degree in organizational leadership. Since returning home, I've worked within local social services agencies, including for the Bishop Paiute Tribe and Owens Valley Career Development Center. And I have served on the Bishop Indian Head Start Policy Council as the chair for 2 consecutive terms, overseeing budget, policies, making sure that we comply with federal regulations for the Bishop Indian Head Start, and also on the parent committee, making sure that I provide support as a parent, supporter, and advocate. Today, I find myself working for Owens Valley Career Development Center as the site manager too, providing welfare and prevention services for the local tribal community and extended communities. My motivation in running for the school board is simply this. My children are a part of this community and a part of the school board, as are your children, for the parents who sit in this room today, as are your neighbors, your grandchildren, your nieces, and your nephews. It would be my honor to run for the school board. I believe in our community, and I intend to make the best decisions for our school board, regardless of my personal beliefs. I've had one life-changing experience with the current school board, and it was watching my 10-year-old son read and present a presentation on the Paiute curriculum that was being brought back into the Owens Valley about the true history of the Paiute people of the Owens Valley. And I thought to myself, as I looked at the school board, I want to be one of those supporters that helps our youth reach their full potential and academic achievement for this valley, including both non-native and native students.
Thank you, Ambrosia. Next, we have Josh Nicholson.
Thank you to Sunrise Rotary and the Saracoso Community College for hosting this forum. I'm running for BUSD School Board to invest in our youth now and into the future. Investing into our youth has been a priority in my adult life since graduating BUHS in 2000. It's why I volunteered to hand out curriculum in Iraq that did not have Saddam Hussein printed on it. It's why I spent much of my time in Kosovo with the schools, establishing the first emergency drills, removing smoking out of the classroom, and spending time with the kids just playing soccer and teaching English. It's why during my 10 years as a peace officer, I took it upon myself to spend time in every school up and down Owens Valley, slowing down traffic for pedestrian safety, creating relationships with staff and students, and establishing much needed emergency drills and awareness. It is why I spend time coaching, reffing, and volunteering with things like Fifth Quarter that keep youth out of trouble and in a safe environment. Our community needs local governance to come back to our school board. Our youth need a school board member who will put their needs first over politics or outside pressure. Our youth need a safe and secure campus to provide the best learning environment possible, and the board should lead in that effort. My qualifications and experience include serving 4 years as a BUSD school board member, obtaining my graduate and undergraduate degrees, serving as a team leader both in combat and in peacetime missions, serving our community as a peace officer, but most important, investing in our youth through coaching, mentoring, refereeing, and so on. BUSD has provided me with lifetime friends, including my best friend and wife, all who I met through my time at BUHS. Something I hope for my kids, as my oldest son is now a freshman at BUHS and already establishing those friendships. BUSD is a lifetime investment for me, from a young man to now as a father and role model to our youth. I want to see it provide not just the same experience I had, but a more meaningful one for my kids and their classmates now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. All right, now we've gotten to meet our school board candidates, and now we will look to the first question that they were sent. They've all had time to prepare answers to this question, and we're going to rotate a little bit. So we'll start with Earl. So the question is, what makes a good school district? What will your top priorities be in your first year of office, Earl?
Thank you. A good school district has quality teachers and staff who are supported at a board and admin level. A good school district supports children and puts emphasis on the whole family. By understanding circumstances families are facing and addresses them with compassion and empathy. A good school district will determine sustainable educational options to support all children despite socioeconomic status. A good school district has measurable goals and outcomes and provides transparent, reliable data to the community. A good school district has an open door board meeting policy where communities and families feel their concerns are being addressed. My top priorities will be to learn about the current efforts in place that support the overall goals and mission of the school district. As a community representative, it is important to support our educators and staff with educational or career development opportunities and provide effective and transparent education at both a community and board level. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia?
What makes a good school district? I believe that the number one priority of the school district is to keep the best interest of all students as the number one priority. It has a well-defined short and long-term goals and the mechanisms in place to evaluate if those goals are being achieved. A good school district needs to be effective in communicating these goals. Also, a good school district should respect, acknowledge, and celebrate all of its members' traditions, cultural backgrounds, values, and lifestyles. Also, a good school district should actively and continuously engage all stakeholders when evaluating and creating policy. When a good school district should also be composed of members or formed with members that debate for the common growth of the district, not just for the sake of winning. It should be fiscally responsible. And there should be accountability with ourselves, amongst school board members, with the superintendent, and it should be a multi-directional accountability. Everybody should hold everybody else accountable, just like you, the community members, and the parents should hold school board members accountable. What will be my top priority in my first year of office? Hopefully it will be all 4 years. And that is to continue to listen and address the challenges that we have in our district and to make sure that support mechanisms, support systems are in place to properly address such challenges and to effectively communicate that I have high expectations. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
What makes a good school district? Good school district consists of the board, the administration, and the staff working on behalf of the community and its values. By building relationships, restoring trust within the district, to provide the best education possible to prepare the children for the next level of education or trade schools or entering the workforce. What will my top priorities be for the first year in office? The top priorities are to help restore the culture of our small town community by building relationships and restoring trust in the district. Advocate for curriculum transparency for parents and advocating for a stronger school safety program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim?
A good school district begins with school principals with strong leadership qualities and fortitude of character. Effective leaders lead and they lead by example. They do not always follow the latest fad that comes down from the powers above that may not be using the common sense of well-tested human experience. A good school district has rules designed for the safety of the teachers, school employees, and students. If, for example, you have a high school with a dress code that is not enforced, it sends an inaccurate view of reality to some students who may come from a dysfunctional home. A student in a home with unclear boundaries where there's no father or parents on drugs or living with the stress of poverty may see breaking the school rules as a way of getting much needed attention. A healthy school environment where breaking the rules has appropriate corrective consequences may be the only place for some students to feel safe. If elected to Bishop School Board, I will strive to listen to the concerns of students, teachers, school employees, and other board members, assisting where possible to create a school environment where students and teachers want to have higher test scores and develop effective social skills. The goal is to prepare students to be successful in life by developing good work habits and strong moral character.
Thank you, Jim. Tony?
Am I on? I believe that a school district is supportive and encourages their students and families to strive for academic achievement and professional success. A good school district should be transparent, it should be fair, and it should be willing and open to change for the benefit of the students and families for which the board serves. Also, in order to have a good school district, I believe that there needs to be representation for all communities within the district serves. A good school district represents the communities and advocates for the students and their families, the teachers and their staff. And it promotes the best educational experiences for the students to achieve their academic success for their future. So my top priorities in first year, if I were to be voted on for the school board, would be to learn as much as I possibly can about the policies and procedures. Again, I'm a mom that has 3 kids that are attending the school, and I just want to be an advocate to help in any way that I can. One of my top priorities would be to create a strong connection with the teachers and the staff so that I can learn more about their concerns and whatever support that they need to be the best educators that they can be to our students. I would also like to learn more about what the family's concerns are and what the community's concerns are, and implement whatever type of policies that to bring forth to help our families and communities be successful. I would also like to learn as much as I can about the budgets and where the concerns are for our teachers, whether that means wages, longer hours, and benefits for them in the long run. Those are some of the things that I would really like to focus on in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia?
What makes a good school district? A good school district is a district that can recruit, support, and retain great teachers. I'm sorry. A good school district proves it can be a leader by developing great teachers, and these teachers can deliver great instruction to our students. Also, the district has shown compensation, professional support, management and operations, career and leadership opportunities, and student services. Also, the district has shown respect for teachers' performance and expertise. Teachers' evaluations has to be transparent and based on quality evidence, supports efficient daily operation of schools, facilities, high quality, and school leadership. My top priorities, it will be as a school member to make sure and to be supportive to establish the goals and visions of the school district, consider school values, beliefs, and priorities in order to be responsive and to set the path we want to follow by establishing a structure that is efficient and effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Next, we have Ambrosia.
Thank you. What makes a good school board district and what will be my top priorities in my first year? I believe a good school board district is a balanced school board of diversity represented by an entire community. Further, a great school board consists of individuals who come with a diverse and strong qualities of being able to listen to their communities, their educators, and most importantly, our children and our youth. Those who are willing to communicate and make the best decisions for a school board in a community, regardless of their own personal beliefs. And within my first year, I intend to find more ways to support our youth and their families, their health and safety, our educators, and our supporters, in addition to becoming better informed about our responsibility financially and to be able to provide transparency to our families. Also, to help mothers, fathers, and families like me to better understand their school district and their school board. One thing I hope to change is to invite more diversity to the school board meetings so that there's represented individuals there who can go home and take back this information for those who are unable to attend and unaware about the happenings that happen in their own communities here with the school board. Much like me, there are those that are misinformed or have a misunderstanding, and I would like to be that voice that welcomes them to every single meeting, to be there, to be a supporter, to be an advocate, and most importantly, to be one as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrosia. Josh?
A good district represents the values of its community, creates a safe and secure campus in order to achieve the most productive learning environment possible. It needs to be a part of preparing our youth for entering what we call real life, which means instilling integrity, teamwork, work ethic, respect, and discipline. A good district provides the opportunity for a well-rounded education for all its students, but also knows where to draw the line between educating and parenting. A good district does not discriminate or segregate its most important stakeholders, our students. This should go without saying, as it has been the law for decades, but it is worth repeating given actions around our nation. A good district creates a teaching and working environment where we retain our great staff as well as attract great candidates. That working environment means teachers should be able to be creative, have fun, think outside the box, and establish meaningful relationships with their students. A good district is fiscally responsible, ensuring our tax dollars are spent in a manner that best serves our students and their community. A good school district does not create its own educational gaps and rely on the teachers to financially fill those gaps. Teachers should not be spending their own money to fill those educational gaps. A good district sees the importance of extracurricular activities, electives, sports, and other incentives that keep kids engaged in their classes and on the right path. My top priority is and will be student and campus safety. More action needs to be taken and not just ongoing conversations. To start, I would like to see us adopt what Douglas County School District has started in a volunteer safety program. We need to work towards equipping and training our staff to be our own first responders in worst-case scenarios. Other top priorities will include accountability, fiscal responsibility, listening to students and parents, and not only ensuring our ROP and CT programs thrive, but expand and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And Gail?
What is a good school district? A good school district follows the best educational practices to meet the needs of all students, considers the needs and concerns of parents, reviews hiring recommendations of administrators to provide the best qualified teachers, and supports staff to serve our students, and makes fiscally sound decisions in creating a budget and a safe learning environment. My top priority, as stated in my introduction, to bridge the gap in learning created by the COVID-19 shutdown. I would ask teachers what they believe their students need to bring their skills up to grade level and make recommendations to my fellow board members to consider for best practice. Rebuilding trust between the community and the BUSD school board is very important to me.
Awesome, thank you. That is our first question. Our second question this evening, which they have also had time to prepare and answer. How involved should a school board member be in the classroom? What level of trust do you have in our local teachers as professionals? And Claudia will be starting this one.
Okay, so for the first question, how involved should a school member be in the classroom? Not at all, or not much. It's the teacher's job to teach. It's the administrator's job to administer. And it is not the job of the school board to micromanage them. The job of the school board is to set the direction of where we want the district to go. They know what they're doing. They have credentials. They work really hard. And they do a good job at what they do. So no, the board members should not be micromanaging them. Yes, there should be a general awareness and familiarity with curriculum and policies and practices that are in place to make sure that what was suggested, proposed is actually working the way it's supposed to work. But no, we should not be micromanaging teachers. The second question is, what level of trust do you have in our local teachers and professionals? A lot, the most, enough to allow them to educate my son for the last 8 years. I see a handful of teachers here that have been wonderful. So I trust them very, very much. I know they are working extremely hard to provide a very specific curriculum to a group of students that have very different learning styles. That's a very hard job. And I know they're doing their absolute best, and they're doing a good job. I also trust the evaluation process and support practices for teachers that are currently in place in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
How involved should a school board member be in the classroom? The board should be involved in the classroom as much as they can be. Most of the board members work full-time jobs, so it's hard to find time to be on campus all the time, but I think the only way to build relationships, trust, and understanding, and the needs and wants and overall morale of the schools is to be a part of it. It's very hard to make any sort of positive impact when you only meet once a month. The public will see me everywhere, from the hockey rink to the soccer field to the mats to the school farm and everywhere in between. I'm definitely open to workshops, lunches, and coffee time with school board members to address any needs that the teachers want. What level of trust do I have in our teachers? My two girls have had an amazing experience at Bishop Elementary School. They've had some of the best teachers I've ever met. I've had the pleasure of building relationships with them, and I have a tremendous amount of respect and trust for them. I'm looking forward to developing the same trusting relationships with the teachers I have not yet met. I'm also looking forward to building the trust in our administration to hire the best teachers for the openings and the new positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim?
As a board member, I would like to attend classes in each school and learn from the perspective of teachers what they see as the challenges. I have never spoken with a Bishop teacher about this. I will comment on what I hear is going on in many school classrooms nationwide. In my opinion, education is at a crossroads. Schools are going to move back towards meaningful education or continue down the road of indoctrination. The mostly unseen battle that is raging in some classrooms is for the control of parents' rights. On national news, I recently heard a teacher say parents should have no input into the curriculum taught in school. It should be left to, quote, the professionals. The person speaking was obviously never a parent. You may have seen on the news the parents at Loudoun County, Virginia school board meeting who loudly protested the classroom teaching of critical race theory. Some parents were investigated by the FBI and the Department of Justice as domestic terrorists. A Loudoun teacher told me some teachers do not teach CRT and some do. In some schools, teachers are required to teach these lies and the gender-affirming care myths, and if they don't teach them, they will lose their jobs. I do not know the situation faced in this way by the teachers in Bishop. I have lived in 4 different states in a variety of communities. I have lived in Bishop for over 4 years. Obviously, Bishop schools have some great teachers and incredible parents. The young people I have met in Bishop are the most wholesome and well-mannered youth I have ever met anywhere. Bishop is a unique cowboy-flavored small town with a big backyard, like an oasis in the Sierras. I hope we can become an educational example to the rest of California.
Thank you, Jim. Tony?
Okay, how involved should a school board be in the classroom? I believe it is important for school board members to be mindful of how a classroom is being conducted, but the involvement should be very minimal. It should be limited to just observing and supporting the students and the teachers, staff. If there are requests for teachers to have and want more school board involvement, then there should be more discussion surrounding that. And the school board should be open to that. You know, if our teachers need our help and they need our support, then there. But not in a micromanaging way. I completely agree with what you said. There should be no school board members in there trying to teach or, you know, tell a teacher what. Definitely no micromanaging there. What level of trust do I have in our local teachers as professionals? Well, first and foremost, I believe that our teachers are professionals. I believe and trust that our teachers are capable of teaching and supporting our youth and their families, and that they have the best interest of our children in mind. As a school board, we need to be providing the guidance and the resources needed to relate to our students and our families to bridge the gaps from home to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia.
How involved should a school board member be in the classroom? No. That will be a micromanagement, and it really bothers the teachers, not on taking the time, but on the planning that they have already for the day, the lesson plan, the activities. If a school board member walks in there, it shows that to the teacher that probably we don't trust them on what they're teaching. And we don't want that. We want our teachers to be professional and to teach our children the right way. As a volunteer, I do agree that a lot of times our teachers, they do need help reading, writing, or helping with a small group, singing, dancing, doing any activities with the kids. And the teachers can use that as a teachable moment for the students and explain who we are and what are we doing in the classroom. Sometimes teachers have amazing lesson plans that they want to show. So if we're going to visit the classroom, we should call the teacher ahead of time to find out when it will be a good time, what day, and if they have anything special for us to see, and if it's going to be very inconvenient for us to step in. What level of trust do we have I have on our teachers? 1,000% and more. That's why we have those teachers and they hire, because they're professionals and they have shown a lot what they can do and what can they still do for our kids in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Ambrosia.
Thank you. How involved should a school board member be in the classroom? Well, I don't believe a school board member's job is to take the role of our educators. I do think it is important, with respect to ongoing daily lesson plans, that we as school board members set aside time to visit our local classrooms to become the familiar face of support, not only to our teachers, but to our youth. School board members should keep in touch with the classroom, observing, providing feedback as necessary, and ensuring that our students have the best learning environments possible. To answer the second half of the question, what level of trust do I have in our local teachers as professionals? As a parent of 4 students, and my children being students of both elementary and middle school, my trust alone comes with having children in the seats, classrooms, walking the campus, and learning from our current educators. I myself have had the opportunity to have positive experiences with our local educators, with some outstanding teachers who have worked with my children in their strengths and both in their weaknesses. There have been teachers who have supported my son and I through an individualized education plan, better known as an IEP, my daughter through struggles of bullying and mental health, and supported my kids in making honor roll, all to whom I appreciate more than they will ever know. Like everyone, we are always learning and improving, and I am eager to take part in that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrosia. Josh.
I'll answer these kind of together. I believe we are in agreement that trust is earned, not given. This is in all aspects of life and is a two-way street. I hope that every teacher wants to earn the trust of their students, the parents, the staff, and administration. Now, if you replace the word trust with respect in this question, then unequivocally I respect our local teachers as professionals. I have spent a good amount of time in their classrooms trying to understand how they teach 25 or more kids, especially the K through 5 grades that have all that energy. I also expect to earn people's trust and not just be given to me. When I was elected in 2014, I know there were teachers and staff wondering who I was and what I was about. They quickly learned I'm who I am because I wear everything on my sleeve and don't really hold an alternate agenda. One of the things I'm most proud of during my 4 years on the board was building and earning the trust of teachers, staff, and constituents who do not align with me politically. They know I'm about the student first, which includes supporting staff so they can support the student. In reference to earning trust, a criticism of me I heard 8 years ago and I hear today, which is fair, is I homeschool my children. This has been true up until this year now that my son is a freshman at BUHS, which has been our plan all along. This was a big driver for me to get involved 8 years ago, and is just the same today. I continue to stay involved in our school district as I like to be proactive. And I challenge anyone critical of homeschooling to ask a teacher if they would prefer a teacher-student ratio of 1 to 3 or 1 to 25. And we all know the answer to that question. Every school board member is going to work differently and have different priorities. No matter what their goals or priorities are, being in the classroom gives a better perspective on how he or she makes decisions. Every campus, classroom, grade, teacher is different. I can speak from experience as a BUSD school board member. I spent a significant amount of time in their classrooms and on campuses during my 4 years. I plan to be just as involved now as I was then on all our campuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And next we have Sue Wallace.
Teachers know what's best for their students, how to teach them, and to retain what they've learned. As a public servant, it's imperative that I discuss with teachers and parents how to best serve their students. Knowledge-based decision-making is only as good as the knowledge gained from the people who work with our students daily. I believe our schools have the best qualified educators teaching our children, and I believe that was true when my son was at BUHS. It's unfortunate that limitations to in-person education was caused by the pandemic. I will visit classrooms to support teachers in any way I can. I believe that my classroom experience could be helpful for current staff. I am also a reading specialist and would be very happy to share what I have learned with those of you who are teaching our children today. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl?
A board member should be involved in the classroom when it comes to understanding how the classroom is set up and how it functions. A board member shouldn't micromanage teachers. A board member should support our teachers. A board member needs to be involved in outside activities and events with the school. They need to be approachable and have investment in our school classroom and our school outside events. I have a high level of trust in our educational professionals. The teachers that I have had a pleasure with working with have been the most professional and have gone above and beyond in helping find solutions or connecting me to the right resource to any problem I have had. I feel that we need to support our teachers and look at their concerns as a priority. My personal experience with the Bishop Union School District has given me navigational experience. Being an alumnus of all Bishop educational systems from K through Saracoso, I understand how our school system functions and provides a tremendous opportunity for our rural area. I have a vested interest in the BUS school district as all my children are currently in Bishop Public Schools or have graduated from Bishop High. A quality education will improve our children's future by providing each student the opportunity to thrive both in education and as an individual. As a BUSD school board candidate, I intend on having an active role in ensuring our educational system meets the goals and interests of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. All right, and that concludes the first section of our forum this evening. Thank you so much to all of the candidates for their answers. We're going to go ahead and take a 15-minute break. If you would like to ask a question of the candidates, please write it down and put it in the box in the back. Thank you. All right, folks, we're getting started. You in the back by the cookies. All right, if you could find your seats. If you could please find your seats. Sorry for those of you that are sitting down already. I won't yell in your ear. Okay, we're ready for the second section of our forum this evening. I would like to say thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. There was a stack about this thick of questions back there. Like it was a pile of questions. So there was no way we are going to be able to get to all of them. So if your specific question is not asked, I've talked to all the candidates and they've said they're more than welcome to, if you have a question that you would like to ask afterwards or, in the future, that you're welcome to ask them. But with that, we are going to go ahead and dive into these. We have, would like to keep the answers to 1 minute to 2 minutes max, and we will cut them off after 2 minutes, but each candidate will have a chance to respond to these questions. So we'll try to get through these as quickly as possible and get to as many as we can.
Oh, sorry.
And Claudia.
I only have one son, and he has been attending the Bishop Unified School District since first grade. I will say I'm a little jelly that I didn't graduate from here. I didn't live here, but my husband did. So my plan is that he continues within the district.
Awesome, thank you. Our next question, Jim Lyles will be taking this one first. If there is another public health emergency, would you support public health guidelines? Yes. If there is another public health emergency, would you support public health guidelines?
Depends. Can you be more specific, or? I guess you was talking about, it depends on the situation. I can't address an unknown.
Serve in the military or watch friends die to take away anyone's freedom. Quite the opposite. To enforce freedom, the Constitution. And medical choices are your freedom, or for your kids, your choices, your body. Okay? Parents should choose what is best for their families and what is best for them. Right? And in my opening statement, I talked about local governance. We know our issues. California doesn't know our issues and they don't care. The federal government doesn't know our issues and they don't care. Local governance. Open conversations, not being shut down. And I think it was Jim that said earlier, decisions were made before parents even attended some of the meetings, which was unfortunate. This is a hot topic issue, and every emergency is going to be different and bring different challenges. But I would always lean back on freedom for you, everyone sitting in this room, and your families and friends.
Thank you, Josh. Sue.
Thank you. First of all, I would follow the science. And I came from the generation who had to do the duck and cover for a nuclear drill, like that was going to help. So, so I'm like really dating myself. So it's really important to follow the science. And I too support my body, my decisions. And so I'm open to discussion. I think it's important for every voice to be heard. We're not all going to agree and we're not all going to disagree. And every discussion brings its own tenor. And I think it's important to listen, but also to trust the science.
Thank you, Sue. Earl.
Yeah, I think it needs to be discussed and really looked at from an open-minded perspective. And I think that's the way to look at it. I do support the public health guidelines. But does that mean that we can't listen to, other opinions and be open-minded? So that's my stance. I'm for the science, but I also understand concerns of parents and family members and how compassionate, everyone is around this topic. So that's my stance.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia?
Yeah, this is a big unknown, and I really, really hope we don't go through another health emergency anytime soon. It was a challenge. It was a challenge, and at this point, one can say, well, we should have done this, we should have done that. I know, I want to believe that everybody had the best intentions. Everybody wanted the best outcome. Without knowing the specifics, without knowing everything, we have to be open to conversations. We have to be open to the discussions. We have to be open and respectful of differences. And I really hope that we learned something from the health emergencies that we had the last 2 years. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. What we can do, what we cannot do, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. I don't want to give an answer because I don't know the specifics, and that I'm not going to answer something that I don't have full information. That would be irresponsible. But I do hope that I do know that I learned a lot, the good, bad, and everything in between. And I hope that I'm able, I don't hope, I will listen as much as I can and take all sides into consideration. I don't think this is a answerable question right now because there's a lot of unknowns.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
It's an interesting question. As far as what we just saw in the past 2 years, I don't think the public health guidelines were that much of a success. It seems like that's why there's 9 people running for the school board right now. So it's a weird hypothetical situation because we don't know what it would be. But just like we said, we don't want to micromanage the teachers. We don't want to micromanage the parents either. So if it violates your fundamental rights, absolutely not. If it's common sense, health guidelines, absolutely. That's where I stand.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, our next question, Tony will be taking this first. Do you support banning books from school libraries? Why or why not? What about restricting curriculum? Tony.
Thank you. I think it depends on the literature, but I don't support banning books from libraries. I don't support, stopping any type of curriculum that's going to expand the minds of our students. I believe that, books are created for us to be open-minded and to learn and to discover the world around us, cultures we don't know, places we've never been. I don't agree with banning books or, stopping teachers from exploring new curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia.
I do not support banning books from schools. Besides that, they bring enrich learning experiences for the kids, and they can travel and they can learn and they can do so many things with books. They also, for the young kids, it gives them that sense of learning on their fine motor skills by flipping pages, recognizing numbers, learning the letters, knowing where to start, where they can stop in the book, learning how to use the book from front to back. So it gives more experience carrying the book than just a laptop or a iPad where they just use one little finger to move things around. Kids, they need to use their whole hands, their whole senses. use their fingers to move around.
Thank you, Virginia. Ambrosia.
Thank you. This is a bit complicating. I know this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, but I think with the right discretion and looking at whether the books are age appropriate and whether, the curriculum that's being read by the children within their respective ages is appropriate with the curriculum that they're taking in. I also think it's important that we learn, that we're able to learn about those that we coexist in a world with our neighbors who may be of a diverse race or a diverse culture than we are. I think that's crucially important, especially here within the Owens Valley. We're a community made up of several different races, several different religions that have to coexist here with one another so we can call ourselves a community and care about one another. I think literacy has the potential to change the lives of the children after they pick up that book and turn those pages. We'll never know what they're going to intake after they pick up that book. And my hope is that after they picked up a book that wasn't banned from our school district, that it could potentially change their life for the positive. That's my take on that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh.
Boy, this is political. There's one question. Banning books is definitely a slippery slope. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're sitting on. Like Ambrosia said, it needs to be age appropriate, and parents need to be involved, especially if it's an assignment. If it's going to be confrontational, or if there's going to be an issue, a teacher probably knows it and should probably reach out to parents. And then as far as curriculum goes, it needs to be reviewed in depth prior to approval. When I was on the board, I took home every curriculum. I can't say I read every word, but I reviewed all of it prior to voting. So just really involvement and knowledge, and I would encourage everyone sitting here to continue to attend the meetings, because that kind of mundane stuff is voted on all the time.
Thank you, Josh. Sue.
I think somebody in the 1930s banned books, and we all know how that turned out. And I agree that it all needs to be reviewed. It needs to be age appropriate, and it needs to be relevant to the learning. What are we teaching? That was always the question. And sometimes it was important to look at the opposite view to understand where your own personal view stood. In political science, you have to know all the sides of the discussion. Yeah, this is a hot topic. And as far as curriculum goes, it is really important that we all know what our children are learning and where they're learning it from. And I really encourage all of you as parents, as Josh did, to come to the board meetings, because voting on curriculum needs your input. And it's the only way that we can assure that we're teaching your children what you're hoping that they're learning. And bridging that gap right now, reading, writing, and arithmetic is really important. So we need to have the tools that we need to help bring kids back up to grade level. Thanks.
Thank you, Sue. Earl?
No, I don't believe in banning books, whether it's to go digital or not. I think books need to have, we need to have that available to our youth, that concrete book in their hand. I think it's really important to be able to sit and hold a book with your child and like the teacher mentioned, to point those words out and help guide them. It's important. Curriculum, yeah, I totally feel that it needs to be vetted and, age appropriate. We need to, when we do look at curriculum though, I think we all need to have an open-minded approach and understand that we have bias, whether it's implicit or not, and have that approach when we look at new curriculums that may be different than what our approach may be or what we think, is right. So that's my stance. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia?
Nope, I don't believe in banning any books at any time. I know teachers are very, very open about the material that they teach. Back to school nights, most teachers, all teachers, give us a list of what schools are going to be read, what material is going to be covered. They have an open door policy too. If you have any concerns, they're very welcoming to their classrooms. And no, I don't believe in banning a book. A public school is a place of discovery and critical thinking. And I think having access to all books allows for this. As far as curriculum, there's a very involved process in curriculum adoption. There's more than one curriculum that's usually studied. It goes through a vetting process by the teachers, by the administrators. There's this thing called school side councils. Every school has one, and it's formed of parents, administrators, and teachers. A lot of these conversations about curriculum happen there, and a lot of the recommendations come from there too. So once a curriculum is vetted, tested, studied, compared to others, then there's a recommendation that comes to the board. That's when we ask further questions. If we listen to all stakeholders, and we ask the question, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this curriculum? And once we answer those questions, then we can vote.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
No, I don't support banning books. Like Josh said, it's a slippery slope. And I'm going to echo everybody else and say age-appropriate curriculum. Obviously, my 7-year-old doesn't need to learn too many heavy political topics right now. She needs to learn how to kick with her left foot in soccer. And I wanted to emphasize parents need to start showing up to these meetings like you have been, because as we said before, the school board's role is to represent the values of the community on behalf of the children, and so they can get their best education that we have available for them. So the more input from the community, the better. I believe that if it gets to a point where somebody's showing up, or there's this many people showing up for a topic, then it's probably not appropriate. So if we get to that point, that's when we make a decision, and the board will do what we were voted in to do, which is approve what's appropriate for our children so they can get the best education. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim?
Interesting question. I'm going to approach it this way. In Bishop schools, you have a book that is taught in some classes. It's called Stamped. It is a book on critical race theory that is being taught all over the country. Critical race theory teaches that the biggest problem in America is white racism. The problem is whiteness. And they're taught that people of color are the victims. If you switched the word racism and put in the word class, you would have the exact same teaching as Karl Marx and socialism. The problem is that white kids go home and they'll say to their mother, Mom,
I think you're talking politics here.
We will take no interruptions.
I'm talking about a book that's
He's
in
talking
Bishop
about a book.
school.
Let him finish his sentence, please.
White kids will go home and ask their mother, Mommy, why do you dislike black people? If mother answers, I don't dislike white people, why would you say that? Well, you're white and you probably don't know that you're racist. It makes a class of people, and by the way, only white people can be racist. There are some schools, let me switch to another topic, and I don't know about this in Bishop schools, I want to qualify that. There are some schools that teach there are more than 2 genders, and they teach children that they can choose their own gender. This is a physiological lie. It is not true. Children determine as they grow up, they will decide how they want to behave, but there's only two genders. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, our next question is going to be, Victoria's going to answer this one first. And our question is, what has BUSD done well regarding school safety and what needs to be done better?
The thing that BSUD is done for school safety is that we were able to hire our SRO to be on campus and keep our kids safe. And what is going to be done is with the new chief that we have at the Sheriff's Department, he just provided 2 different trainings for the 3 different schools where they're going to implement new techniques to keep the kids safe in case of school shooting or any other situation that it can happen. I was able to attend to both trainings, and it's going to be more to come because now teachers are going to get trained and get involved on what they're going to be doing to keep our kids safe.
Thank you, Virginia. Ambrosia.
I would like to share that within the past, I remember there being a threat made to the school about a shooting that was going to take place. And I remember taking my children to school that morning and seeing an abundance of local law enforcement on the school campus. And I couldn't help but to feel grateful that when I dropped my children off at the elementary school, that I was able to be greeted by California Highway Patrol and Bishop Police Department officers, and how safe that made me feel to know that while I was going to go to work that day, that I was feeling better about being able to pick my children up that day from school and not receive a phone call that something had happened. I do feel better that when I go to the campus, I do see officers on site. I feel better that they're able to communicate with me and converse with my children and also make my children feel safe. But I also do feel that there's room to have open conversation about other options that could be available to us to provide safety for our children, for our families as well. And I'm willing to hear that conversation and discuss that conversation. And I'm also willing to learn more about this topic if elected to be on the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrosia. Josh.
The Bishop PD did get a grant for an SRO position, but that's not going to be, that may not be here long term. And Bishop Police Department is limited in their manpower and funding, and that's no different over the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department, I believe, needs to step up and look at an SRO position. That's not anything that the board can really influence, but hopefully there's another election separate to ours going on that discussion can happen in the near future. BUSD is currently doing lockdown training, or they have already. They're continuing emergency response training, which are all good small steps. The problem in our small community and with our campuses is they're so spread out. At any one time, even during day shift, you might get anywhere between 8 and 12 law enforcement responding, both in uniform and not in uniform. I would like to see more internal training as far as being your own first responder. And I did talk about earlier, Douglas County School District is doing a volunteer safety program. What that includes is reaching out to the community for retired law enforcement, veterans, to really just foot patrol the campus. And the volunteer process wouldn't be any different. They'll be vetted. There's background checks, all that. But essentially, these are men and women that just want to be around to be another level of security that's not going to cost anything to the district other than maybe some type of coordination at the district office. Those are the things that I'd like to see just for starters, and just continued training awareness.
Thank you, Josh. Sue.
I was pleased to see that there are SROs here. When I taught in Fresno, we had regular lockdown drills. The district where I taught, all the bad guys decided to run out to the orchards and vineyards and hide, and our school was right there in the middle of all of it. So we had regular lockdown drills. As a potential board member, I would like to address cyberbullying because to me, that's really the primary safety for our kids. They're all on their phones, they're all on social media, and the cyberbullying is out of control. And it's damaging a lot of children and causing more suicides. So as a board member, I would like to address that and come up with a plan.
Thank you, Sue. Earl?
Yeah, safety is the utmost importance. And I think it involves everyone. I love the SOR idea. But I also love getting all of our parents involved and our communities involved in our children's safety. Tribal police, volunteers, whatever it may be, to help secure our campuses. I'm for it. I also think there's a big mental health component to that piece. When you talk about safety, I think we need to look at alternatives on how we can better address that mental health component. Because when we talk safety, usually the person who commits some, act against children, there's some underlying issues there, usually mentally. So there's got to be balance there when we look at that, and then just how can we better secure our campuses? I believe in safety drills. I think it's much better to be prepared than to respond to something that had already occurred. So, yeah, safety for sure.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia?
Yes, it's very important for all students to feel safe. And so what has been done, training continues to happen. There's a safety committee that meets quarterly, I believe, and they report back what are the needs, what are the challenges, the lockdown drills, et cetera, et cetera. That's been going on and continues to happen. Our campuses are open campuses, so I know at least at the elementary school, there is now a fence. So that provides some safety. As parents, is this enough? We'll probably all say no. Are there more options? Absolutely. We always want to keep our students safe, not just from outside dangers, but within the school. And back to what Sue was saying, cyberbullying, mental health, all these are valid safety concerns that we should all have. I also believe in prevention. What are we doing when it comes to prevention? We need to be engaged. We as parents, we as school board members, we as teachers, we need to be fully engaged with our students. Those of us that are parents know when something's off with our kids. Be engaged, be responsive. It's all of our responsibility to provide a safe place for our kids. And to keep, sometimes when we have safety issues is because some of our students do not feel engaged or are looking for something that they shouldn't be looking for outside the school. So let's keep our students engaged.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
I love the school officer program. I'm good friends with Officer Peak, also a blue belt down at the jiu-jitsu studio. I want to get more officers involved. I obviously don't know how that works with budgeting and what the different departments have. But if we could have one on every campus, or at least one that goes in between the high school and then Home Street, another one for the elementary school would be great. There's also really cool ideas I've read articles about in Arizona and where volunteer dads are vetted and walk the campus at different times. Every Friday I have off, I go to pick up my daughters, and it's like one of my favorite things because we call it like line dad, heavy equipment operator dad day, because there's all these dads there, and it's like the best feeling when you see all these dads and moms too picking up their kids. Lots of parents lots of eyes. And I also want to echo what Claudia said. And, you know, we need to recognize issues before they come about. You know, kid is having having some sort of an issue mentally or physically, a problem at home. We need to address it, not wait for it to fester and get out of hand. So, yes, school safety #1, and we definitely have room for improvement in every aspect of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim?
Great question. I want to let you know that I'm 100% with Jamie and I'm 100% with Joshua. 3 guys, 3 J's. You might want to remember that. Before moving to Bishop, my wife and I attended Grace Community Church in the Valley. It's a very large church with a pastor well known. His name is John MacArthur. I was an usher there for 18 years, and every year we had training of this kind. And at the last school board I went to, I found out, the policeman announced it, that you're going to be having a film. I would recommend that students, teachers, and parents all see this film. It teaches kids to either hide, run, or fight. Those are the 3 situations you're going to be in when you have a school shooter. And we at the church were trained in that, and every year we had that same training. And I'll share with you some of the recommendations. The lead, and by the way, at that church, we have what's called the Temple Guard. These are armed ex-LAPD people, and they're there for the protection of anyone, especially our pastor, who's under almost monthly threats that come in. And the advice we were given is if you're in a school situation and you know you have protection, and you know there's people there coming, get out of their way. Their job is to stop that person. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jim. Tony? Would you like me to reread it? Yeah. Okay. What has BUSD done well regarding school safety, and what needs to be better?
I think that the Bishop School District is doing the best that they can with having staff, you know, be on the grounds during drop-off and pickup. Unfortunately, I was running a little late with my kids the other day, but there were still staff. There were still staff in the front of the kindergarten. There were still staff in front of the elementary. There were still staff on the way to the BAC. So I know that the staff is doing the best that they can to make sure that our kids are safe and protected. I know that there's always room for growth as well. I agree with the gentleman that, you know, having family members or parents or dads that want to volunteer to walk the grounds or be there for added safety, I think that that is a really great idea. And then also I know that, you know, the Bishop School District also collaborates with our local law enforcement. Maybe there could be more collaboration there in regards to, you know, having individuals walk the grounds during class, during recess. You know, whatever we can do to make our families and community members feel safe and our children feel safe is super important. But I think that, you know, the Bishop School District and the staff are working hard to make sure that, you know, we feel good as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. It is 8:21, so we're going to try to squeeze in one more question here. But if your question wasn't asked, you are welcome to speak to the candidates afterwards. All right, and Ambrosia, you'll be taking this one first. What is your experience in conflict resolution, and how would you apply it to disputes between the board, parents, and staff?
Well, I feel like as a mother of 5, I do this from 8 to 5, maybe extended hours. But I would like to say within my job and previous jobs that I've had with working in social services, conflict resolution is one of the many trainings that I've attended. Even going back to my military training, going back to conflict resolution between team members, between peers, between units, making sure that we can all function as one. So I think it's crucially important, but one of the things that stands out to me between the school board and our community, again, is just coming back to that. We have to remember that we're all one community, no matter what street we live on, no matter what neighborhood we come from, no matter what school our kids attend, we are all one, and we should all be looking out for the academic excellence of our children. At the day, we all want them to graduate, we all want them to excel, we all want them to have their own self-sufficiency. So I think the way that we navigate through conflict resolution with being respectful, being able to be that listening ear, being able to be transparent, to communicate, and most importantly, again, being respectful, and understanding that the school board has a tough job. Parents have a tough job. Educators have a tough job. I say this time and time again, it takes a village to raise my children, and I'm incredibly grateful to the teachers who take on my children, because I take them on at home, and it's not always great. It's not always fun. But I believe we do this as a community, so to be able to work through conflict resolution together, I think is something that we have to do as one, and we have to remember that in a respectful manner.
Thank you, Ambrosia. And I just discovered that the clock on the podium is very wrong. We actually have another half hour. So, all right, Josh.
Would you mind repeating the question for me?
Yes, absolutely. So the question again is, what is your experience in conflict resolution, and how would you apply it to disputes between the board, parents, and staff?
Okay. I definitely have a lot of experience. One thing I wanted to address that's been a common theme up here is our division. It's nationwide, it's statewide, it's local. When we as adults have our divisions, our children and students are going to emulate that. So that's something I definitely think we need to work on and bridge that gap. Like I said earlier, I definitely was very proud about the political gaps that I bridged in my first 4 years as a school board member, and gaps that I bridged as a deputy sheriff. When you're in South County or even North County in the middle of the night and you're dealing with someone, you're it. So you have to have what the common phrase used is verbal judo, being able to come to a resolution without escalating. And that was always going to be the best result. Coaching, refereeing, and just being involved in communities always going to find conflict. And so anyone that's coached has dealt with a parent that wants their kid to play the most or a different position, and you really have to put yourself in their shoes and vice versa. And I would help the parents, and I'm that parent as well, to put myself in their shoes. If you've never refereed and want to yell at one, then I will give you my referee whistle and uniform, and you can get out there and do it. So essentially putting yourself in those shoes, trying to see from their perspective, that's going to be the most productive resolution. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Sue?
Well, in my training as a special ed teacher, I learned how to run a facilitated IEP meeting, and that's a fancy word for a parent who's coming in hot under the collar because their child's services aren't being rendered. And usually by the end of the process, everybody's happy and the parent feels heard. And to me, that's the most important part of my job as a teacher, is to make sure that the parent is heard, that they're treated with respect and courtesy. And I have to say that I witnessed a lack of that in several of the board meetings that I attended this past year. So I think if we can all come together as human beings and respect the fact that we want to be heard and given the courtesy to be heard, that we can come to some kind of agreement. And it's true, I haven't walked in your shoes and you haven't walked in mine, but I think that there's a place where we can both meet. And to me, one of the biggest jobs as a potential board member is restoring trust between the community and the school board.
Thank you. Earl?
So I have training in conflict resolution with the current job that I work at. level heads prevail. So de-escalating situations, trying to come to, come up with, a solution. So really being solution based, not just pointing out things that are wrong, but looking at, ideas on how we can improve them, making sure we're all level headed, trying to, de-escalate situations and just really listening and meeting people where they're at, being open-minded, and understanding that, we all carry bias, but we are one community and we want the best for our kids and we want quality education. We want our kids to have, all of those things and be successful and, have all the opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia?
So for me, or what has somewhat worked for me in the past, is to approach conflicts from a neutral standpoint. Not show up with what I think the answer should be or a solution, but approach it from a very neutral perspective and ask the question from both sides, the same questions. Why are we having this conflict? Why is this so important to you? And what is the purpose of a resolution, of a compromise? So why is ABC issue so important for this side and for that side? And I think when the parties are able and willing to listen to both sides, they will have a better understanding of what the other person is coming from. And I think once there's a mutual understanding, it's a lot easier to reach a compromise. All of these questions, why, what's the purpose? We also have to remember, how does this benefit all the students? It's not just about parents, it's not just about teachers, it's not just about administrators. How does this benefit the students? Because that's the reason we're all here, for the benefit of the students.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie?
How to resolve conflict resolution. I believe you have to build relationships. You have to understand each other and trust each other and come to a common ground. There's plenty of hot button issues that people can get riled up for, but if you communicate and you have trust and you develop relationships, then it's a lot easier to get through it than just yelling at each other. I feel the same way Claudia does. If it benefits the children, there shouldn't be a conflict. If it's between adults arguing over politics or something like that, then it has nothing to do with the kids' education. So we need to bridge those gaps, kind of heal what's happened nationwide. But our community is awesome. We pick each other up, we don't tear each other down. I've known most of the people in this room my whole life. I think that is the foundation for fixing conflict. So I think everybody can work together. This community is awesome and it's worth it, and it will prevail in conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jen?
Quick question. Some of you know that I sell real estate in Bishop. I've been out of the counseling field for about 15 years, but I will tell you firsthand, my years of training in family therapy and marriage counseling have come in very good in real estate. I view life through the lens of the Bible. That is my guide. The Bible is very clear how you resolve disagreements. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I get elected, which I've been told will be a miracle. And I'm in shopping, and a parent comes up to me and says, "Oh, aren't you the board member?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, there's this terrible teacher at school. he does this and this and this, you know, whatever you want. And my child was very upset. Can't you do something? I used a biblical model. I first of all put on my listening ears. I make sure I understand who he is, who the child is, and who the teacher is. And I write those things down. I give him now, it would be a mistake for me to get caught into that. Say, why don't you go with me and talk to you? That would be a huge mistake, and in my opinion, inappropriate. Okay. I would tell him to have his child go talk to the teacher directly, not in public. Don't make it a public issue. You go to the individual privately and you discuss your concerns. If that, normally that works. If it doesn't, then the next step is they go to the principal. If that doesn't work, then they go to the superintendent. That's how I would recommend resolving issues in the school.
Thank you, Jim. Tony?
So I'm with Andy. Raising 4 boys, conflict resolution is in my blood. I think that being an active listener, being open to communication, communicating with both sides, hearing each side out, what their concerns and issues are, being an active listener and, being respectful, coming in neutral and being empathetical and compassionate to both sides, so that we can have an understanding and come to some sort of compromise when it comes to the school board, to the teachers, to the staff, being transparent, having that transparency, being fair, and having an open mind and understanding to what the issue is. Dealing with 4 boys and all of their attitudes and all of their fights, you become a very good active listener and understanding, what the issues are. So, active listening, open communication, and respect, that's all part of, how we will handle conflict resolution within the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia?
Okay. After supervising 4 different classrooms in Long Plain Community Bishop Emma, and after 560 kids and adding more to it, you learn to listen to all the sides and find out what is the conflict, what created the conflict, what can we do different, what can we do different, can we try other options? Let's see the positive and the negative outcomes we can encounter. Let's all come to a possible agreement, give it a try, and if not solution, we can go through the same steps over again and find a different solution. Conversations with respect and courtesy and transparency is the key.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, Josh is going to take our next question. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order here because I think this other question would make a great one to end on. So, is BUSD doing enough for both gifted and special needs students?
I definitely don't want to speak where I'm not educated. Did you say, I'm sorry, special needs and?
Yeah, gifted and special needs.
I'm high school friends with one of the teachers, and I know she's outstanding, so I definitely will speak to that. Other than that, I can't say that I'm very well versed and educated in the special needs and handicap programs. I know that BSD works closely with the Inyo County Office of Ed, who really oversees all that for the Ed Code. But really, other than that, I don't want to misspeak. I can't say that I'm educated in it.
Thank you, Josh. Sue?
Well, I can say with great confidence that when I was teaching here, the children with special needs who were in my classroom definitely had their needs met, and I did follow the IEP. And I am assuming, knowing some of the special ed teachers now, that same quality of education is being followed. I think there's always room for improvement. I'm not going to say that there isn't. My son was in the AP classes at Bishop High School, and I can say with confidence that he definitely got a very good education. So I'm sure that those great standards are still being met, but like I said, there's always room for improvement.
Thank you, Sue. Earl.
Can't really speak on, anything other than what I've witnessed in my own, personal experience. I have a son who has an IEP. To say it was perfect, no. Is there room for improvement? Yes. And would I have all the confidence in the world in our teachers and I think I think the same for our special education program. We need to support our teachers and look at ways to improve, but also support. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Claudia.
Well, yes, I'm going to echo Sue that yes, standards are being met. The teachers are doing a great job to meet the needs of all the students. There are a lot of students. And is there room for improvement? Absolutely. I know that there are a lot of intervention programs, several intervention programs, many after-school programs. I know the special education or education for special needs kids is pretty robust, and there is support. Are we still understaffed? Yes. Do we need more aides? Yes. Can we do better? Absolutely. These are issues that we discuss, that are being discussed on a continuous basis. It's not something that gets reported on once a year and like, oh, okay, we're doing fine. This is probably our most recurring topic and conversation are the needs being met. I personally think that more enrichment programs would be a great asset. If and when available, when we have more teachers, there's room for improvement in the enrichment section. I think that appropriate support is there, and I think that allowing kids to rise to beyond standards, beyond average, it's a big asset for all the students. High achieving students will help those students that are struggling rise above. Everybody can rise.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie.
Kind of like everybody else, I don't know a lot about this topic. The one thing I do know is my friend Alfredo, his daughter Francesca, has nothing but good things to say about the program. I know the teachers, I know a couple of them, and I know they do a great job. The rumblings I've heard, which I don't know if it's fact or not, is there's more kids coming into the program. So the program in the future is going to need more support. And I think, obviously, like Claudia said, it's already being worked on. But as far as the program as it stands now, I think it's a good program, and it is sufficient for the needs as we continue to work on it. And yeah, that's what
Thank you, Jamie. Jim.
I have no firsthand knowledge of this. The most I heard about it was what was said tonight. And it sounds like people here have had a good experience with that. And if the needs are increasing, obviously we hope that the needs are met.
Thank you, Jim. Tony.
I really don't have much knowledge in regards to this topic as well, but I know I do have a few friends and families that have children with disabilities, and I know that the school district is doing the best that they can right now. I know that they're needing support, they're needing more staff, supporting the families, supporting the children. So there's always room for growth, you know, growth for implementing new curriculum and more individuals to help, you know, our youth graduate and be able to stay within their class and move up each year. I just, you know, there's always room for growth, and, you know, I want to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia.
Working in a preschool and spending time with the kids, we can actually, or I can actually tell if a child is going to need a referral. We go through different screenings to find out what the level of cognitive knowledge they have, their abilities on fine motor, gross motor, different areas of growth with them. We do the screenings, we do evaluations, and then we start the referral process, which end with the IEPs and a diagnosis to provide services for the children who have needs. And also we have few agencies in the community who can provide services along with Inyo County Office of Education. That we have special needs of providers at school, yes, we do. We have seen an increase this year, and we're going to see an increase later on. That we can improve on that, yes, we can improve. We can provide more services, and we are working on that. Same thing with the gifted kids. One of the good things that we have at the preschool level is that every school year, when we end the school year, we meet with the kindergarten teachers, and we have meetings with them, and we go over how the kids are doing, what kids are they going to receive, what kind of services they're going to need, what triggers their special need or their episodes or their situations. So we keep open communication with kindergarten teachers and preschool teachers just to let them know what is going on with the child to provide better services for them.
Thank you. Ambrosia.
Okay. Well, I don't dare to speak needs or gifted student. I can speak to my own child through speech therapy. Thank you. I do feel like there are things that could have been done better. I feel like there could have been room for a lot of improvement, but what I do know is that I feel that the staff worked as hard as they could to work with my son, and to testify to that, now he's probably more of a smooth talker than he needs to be where he's at. So, you know, just contesting to the fact that he did himself through the IEP with his speech therapist and the relationship that they were able to build. I see her cheering him on, you know, through sports, and I see her greeting him when we're out at the park, and she still remembers him and he remembers her. Part of that is encouraging parent involvement and support, encouraging them to show up for their parent. A lot of parents are unaware that they can attend IEP meetings and that they can advocate for their children and that they can ask for things for their child and how important that is. We don't know, and I think we need to have more transparency in what our children are able to have and what our parents are able to ask for them. Another area is in room for improvement. I think it's getting the feedback as a school board from parents on what more could be done. What more do you think we could be doing for your child? What more can the school be doing? And having those open conversations with teachers. I do know that they are short-staffed, and again, I do know that they do the best that they can. And I think it comes to the community and learning. The school environments that we're in. I know personally my son, a really good grader that he goes to special needs and consider him special needs. He considers him his little buddy who needs a little bit of extra love. So.
Thank you, Ambrosia. All right, our final question this evening, Sue will be taking this first. How do we build resilience, conflict resolution, and leadership skills in our students? Sue Wallace.
Could you repeat that one more
Yes.
time, please?
How do we build resilience, conflict resolution, and leadership skills in our students?
Well, getting through these last 2 years should build some kind of resilience in all of us, I should think. Um, and I know that there are many things to overcome, and the toughest part is sticking it out. Resilience. I think kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. Conflict resolution. As I said before, the most important thing is to be heard. That's all anybody wants, is to be heard. And the only way I can really listen is if I come without an agenda. And so I try to be open and honest when I'm listening to someone and not prejudge what I think they need or want. And that has been the way to resolve contentious IEPs. And I believe that our children learn from watching us. And how do we respond to conflict? Do we argue? Do we name call? Or do we listen and consider the other side? And so to me, as an educator, my greatest job was to be an example of how to listen and how not to judge. And what was the last one? I'm sorry. Leadership. You know, it's really obvious when you have a child in your class who demonstrates leadership qualities. And there have been several in my career, and one of them is still living here in the community, and he continues to be a leader. He just had that quality about him all the time. So I think being an example, being the grown-up in the room, being a good listener, and recognizing the qualities in our children that can make them good leaders.
Thank you, Sue Wallace. Earl Lent.
I think we have to lead by example. I think we need more programs within the schools that teach enrichment, that focus on life skills, that talk to our kids about how to be compassionate, how to understand that we're different, but we're all the same, how to agree to disagree. I think that we need to look at kids as a viable resource with a voice, empower our youth. You know, I'm all for youth councils, getting kids involved in developing some of the programs, some of the events, giving them that, you know, ability to lead on their own, and really listening to our kids. I think that is something that we can do better. And I also believe that when we do listen, then we need to respond and look at ways to bring in these programs and allow the kids to lead themselves and have empowerment with the right guidance. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Earl Lent. Next is Claudia Moya Tanner.
How do we build resilience? I agree with Sue. If the last 2 years didn't build resilience, I don't know what we were doing. Just like everything else, when we exercise, we stress our muscles to get stronger. When we study, we stress our brain to get smarter. Every day we should push ourselves, we should push our kids a little bit further, a little bit of stress within parameters, not chaos stress, just a challenge, a daily challenge is good. It's a healthy thing. That's how we get stronger. That's how our bodies get stronger. That's how our minds get stronger. So having high expectations, I think, is great. We need to believe and let our kids know that we believe in them. I mean, I already believe in them, but they need to know that we believe in them, that they are capable of doing many, many things. That's how we build resilience. And no, we won't break. We won't break. It might be tough, and it has been tough for the kids, but they didn't break. So that's one way to build resilience, to raise expectations, to push a little further, to support them, to let them know if they made a mistake. It's okay. They'll get a second chance. There's many chances. We can only learn by picking ourselves back up and getting back on the horse. Conflict resolution, we already talked about that. Try to see both sides try to see both sides of the issue and learn to compromise. And leadership. I think leadership is achieved by having accountability, holding ourselves accountable and everybody else accountable, walking the walk, talking the talk, and just being very accountable.
Thank you, Claudia. Jamie Morley. Yeah. How do we build resilience, conflict resolution, and leadership skills in our students?
Building resilience in children is letting children be children, letting them put themselves out there, take risks, letting them fail, and teaching them the most important thing is not that you got knocked down, it's what you do when you get back up. Conflict resolution, the same thing, building relationships, learning how to communicate and building trust in your fellow human, community members, your friends, and your family. Last part.
Leadership skills.
Leadership skills, a good way to teach leadership skills is to let leaders lead. So leaders can know how to make mistakes, admit when they were wrong, take responsibility for their actions, and keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim Lyles.
I want to first of all thank you for asking such a simple, easy to answer question. I'm with something Earl said, which I think is very important. You must lead by example. And when you see, let's say you see two boys having a discussion or argument, and someone shows leadership, or they show that they handle it well, you want to acknowledge that to the child. You did well. You handled that well. You reinforce good behavior. You do not reinforce bad behavior. And by doing that, and when a kid makes a mistake, you talk about it. What can you learn from that? One of the best sources of wisdom is learning from our mistakes. And when you're working with children, you want to kind of guide them through that process of learning, developing their own skills. And when they have a unique skill that's obvious, you reinforce that. And I guess the biggest thing is to be encouraging when students do well and helping to guide them when they make a mistake.
Thank you, Jim. Tony Huff.
Yeah, this really is the easiest question of the night. I personally believe that our children are innately resilient. I believe that they are capable of, standing strong in what they believe in. And to be completely honest, my boys handled everything in the past 2 years a lot better than I did. They were way more resilient. They showed compassion. They showed respect. They showed understanding. And I think that the school board district and the teachers and the staff encourage that behavior. They encourage compassion. They encourage respect. They encourage responsibility. We get sent home flyers of the different things that is being taught within the curriculum. There was one for empathy. There was one for courage. There was one for, I think, understanding. I believe that our children are resilient and that our staff and our communities, it takes a village. And we all have to lead by example when we're working with our children and guiding them in that good way to be resilient, to allow them to be a leader. We have to allow them to show us, and we have to respect that they have that power, that they can stand on their own 2 feet. It's important for us as adults to encourage that type of behavior and, be the change that we want to see. We have to encourage that for our youth. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Virginia Figueroa.
Okay, for resilience, listen and let them talk, validate their thoughts and experiences, put words to feelings. For conflict resolution, let them find a way to solve the problems by asking questions, what they can do, how they can solve the problem, find different solutions.
If it doesn't work, find different options. Just be there to be a mediator and a guider. And for leadership, have them be accountable and believe in them and praise them in their milestones accomplished and tell them that they can do a lot more and take the next step to move forward and to grow.
Thank you, Virginia. Ambrosia Stone.
Thank you. I think one thing that I'd like to acknowledge is that we've been watching our kids work through conflict resolution, learned how to build resilience and become leaders within the past 2 years, and having to return to school with their peers, with their teachers. And I think one of the things that's important for us to acknowledge is how we are inclined as a school board, as a community, as parents, to teach our kids how to be leaders, how to build their own resilience, and how to work through conflict resolution. We have to learn to lead by active examples and role models. And one thing we have to remember is a lot of that starts in your own home before your children even steps out the door for the day. And sometimes I find myself guilty of that as a parent too, is making sure that before they step out for that day that, we encourage them and we embody them to be able to go to school and to be a leader and to be active, to work through conflict resolution and remembering the effects of their words and actions throughout the day. One thing I'd like to go back to for a moment is the cyberbullying that's happening in school. It's not just cyberbullying, it's present, it's in active words, it's in actions throughout the day and how that's affecting our youth and their mental health and their wellness when they return home. And allowing them to understand that a true resilient leader will many times, but they will always rise again, and teaching our children how to do that after they've fallen, that it's always possible for them to get back up. Learning that by working through conflict resolution holds them accountable. It encourages you to be accountable as youth. And I think those are the ways that we're teaching them to be resilient. We're teaching them to be leaders and work through conflict resolution with ourselves. And it reminds me of sitting at the table through the pandemic and trying to figure out why 2 quarters is 50 cents 20 million times. And having to work through that with my son to say, this is why it is. Help me understand why you don't understand, or help me understand why I don't understand. It equals 50 cents. And having the patience to do that time and time again. But really, it is having the patience to work through conflict resolution.
Ambrosia, thank you. Josh Nicholson.
Okay. I wrote quite a few notes just because I believe this is extremely important. Resilience requires discomfort. It's why basic training is tough. It's not fun at all. It's why the Academy for Law Enforcement is tough. It builds that resilience. And conflict resolution, all three actually, it requires letting our kids fail at times. We can't be there and solve every problem for them, or that isn't going to help them. We need to let them fall forward. In the service, they really want us to handle issues at the lowest level. And I believe that to be the same for kids. If there's an issue on the playground, all too often it ends up going up to the administration. And really, it could have been handled at the lowest level on the playground in order to help them establish conflict resolution and understand why they're doing it instead of just reporting it and on up. And we live in this liability world that sometimes needs to just be, actually often needs to be set aside. I definitely believe sports and competition build all three things mentioned. I often tell my teammates, or my athletes, their teammates, if there's an issue, you don't have to like each other, but you need to show respect to each other. There's going to be a lot of people in our lives that we're just not going to like working with or being around or whatever the case may be, but we definitely need to respect and show respect to them. And then lastly, I just kind of rephrase what Jamie said, is not how we win that defines us, but how we lose and what we do to follow that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Josh. And with that, it is way past bedtime for the BUHS class of 2039. And I just want to again thank everyone so much for coming out tonight. Elections are democracy in action, and this is what makes our country great, is the diversity of thought. It's the diversity that we have up here before you tonight. And please come out and vote first Tuesday in November. And thank you again so much for being here and participating.